What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to TTP Sports. And a lot of crap has happened over the course of me being sick. You know, I wanted to do a Phillies video over the weekend, and then, of course, on Thursday, I started feeling the sickness, and then it basically just gradually got worse as the weekend went along, and I'm finally getting into a stage where I'm better and able to talk without constantly clearing my throat and my nose being very stuffy. So I apologize for not putting anything out during the weekend, but we gotta fight through it. It is what it is. And of course, a lot of crap happened over the weekend that we can talk about this week. Like I said, I wanted to do a Phillies video last week. We're going to push it towards later this week because the Sixers, man, the Sixers, they just keep finding ways to drive the entire fan base absolutely insane. And it's going down with this whole Joel Embiid situation where now most likely I would assume he's going to get shut down for the rest of the season as he's looking to get different opinions on how to fix the problems with his knee. So that's a whole thing to talk about right there. And the Sixers now without Joel Embiid, I would expect, do they shut down Paul George for the rest of the year? I have no goddamn clue. And this team right now on the court is comparable probably to the process version of the Sixers because they are getting embarrassed every night now. They got embarrassed by a very bad Brooklyn Nets team the other night, and they got absolutely destroyed by Chicago last night. They were down by 30 plus. Yeah, they went on a run in the fourth quarter to only bring the score back to within 30 plus points again to lose by, but it's so bad in Sixers land. I feel for everybody here. It's incredible. It really is. And maybe it's needed. Maybe it's needed to get finally snap this goddamn team back into reality that they're not actual contenders for a championship. But I digress. But before we get into everything else going on here with the Sixers today, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to TTP Sports. If you are new to the channel, I definitely recommend you hitting that subscribe button. It would do me such a great deal of service with the YouTube algorithm. You can also drop a like. You can also leave a comment in the comment section down below. I love to interact with you guys down there. You can also use the code TTP Sports, $20 off your first purchase at SEATGEEK. Hey, if you want to treat yourself to whatever this product is that the Philadelphia 76ers are, you can get tickets for as low as $2. And I don't know how much they're going to jack up the fees, but $2 with a $20 discount, you might be getting some free tickets. You might be getting some insanely cheaper tickets. Who knows? Like I said, I don't know how they're going to jack the fees up, but still, $20 off is $20 off. It's a great deal. Don't pass it up. TTP Sports at SeatGeek, $20 off your first purchase. You can also follow over at TTP Sports at TikTok and Instagram for Reel Shorts and all of that good stuff. So it really came over the past couple of days over the weekend with Shams breaking that report about Joel Embiid going to see different doctors to look at his knee, looking at, what potentially that they can do to fix the problems that has been going on basically since the offseason with his knee. And I don't think it's the knee that he got surgically repaired last season. I think it's the other knee. I could be wrong on that, though. But basically, the way Joel Embiid has been going this year, he plays a few games. There's something wrong with his knee. He's got to sit for a few more games. He doesn't look good when he is on the court. He is basically a gigantic liability. He is nowhere close to the level that Joel Embiid is capable of playing at. And the Sixers look like a worse team on the court with Joel Embiid, and that is something that I would never expect to say, because in years past, Joel Embiid was the only thing preventing this Sixers team from being terrible on the court because they were so dynamic with him on the court in general. When he got off the court, the team was terrible. The team was trash. And now when Joel Embiid is on the court, they're terrible. They're trash. It's awful. These games are unwatchable. And if you talk to Daryl Morey, he'll say if you squint enough, that the Sixers team can compete for a championship. I can't believe he goddamn said that. I really can't. And granted, we probably all really ignored it because the Eagles were going on their Super Bowl run. So granted, I rightfully of Philadelphia fans to just, okay, put the Sixers to the side. We'll focus on the Eagles for the time being because they're providing us a lot of happiness. there's no happiness involved with the Philadelphia 76ers. It's just face value at this point. This team is terrible. This team is trash. And there is no saving this team this season, whatever they've been trying to do. As the season started, this season was a lost cause. It really is. And maybe they're starting to finally realize that this season is a lost cause, and they finally decide to, whatever is going to happen with this Joel Embiid thing, it better result in them shutting him down for the rest of the year. I would expect that to be the case, because it does sound like they're trying to avoid surgery as much as possible with this knee. But I just don't see a case where, with the way that Joel Embiid constantly talks about the pain that he's dealing with this knee, and the way the knee constantly swells up, and the way that it's just been bothering him this entire year, I just don't know how you avoid surgery. It sucks that that's the reality, but I just don't see another possible way that Joel Embiid avoids another surgery. I think that's just where it has to go at this point. And I don't know what type of surgery it's going to be. There's been many other people on Twitter, the Twitter doctors, a bunch of other Philadelphia, Sixers beat reporters that are talking about the possible, procedures that Joel Embiid would have to go through. It's one whole gigantic just trying to think of what it's going to be. We don't know what they're going to do because they haven't announced anything of what Joel Embiid is going to do. Recently, the latest updates are he's still looking around for other opinions to see, what doctors and what other specialists say that he has to do to the knee to fix the problems that's going on with it. So this is going to be a long process of that case, and it better end in him getting a surgery, because there is no benefit to the Sixers team for him playing in the rest of the year insanely injured, because, like I said, they're terrible when he's on the court, because Joel Embiid just does not look like himself. He looks like a shell of the man that he once was. And that even goes to the fact, if Joel Embiid gets this surgery, is he ever going to be the same player that he once was? Because you got to handle, throughout the entire career of Joel Embiid, he's been through so much, going through his draft year to where he falls to the Sixers, probably would have been the number one overall pick if it wasn't for his leg injury. Then he comes to the Sixers, you get many orbital bone injuries, you get finger injuries, you get hand injuries, you get multiple leg injuries, knee injuries, whatever, MCLs, tears, sprains, whatever you call it. And then, you go to last year where he gets the knee surgery, and then he comes back, he plays into the playoffs on that knee, and you're saying that, okay, for the best thing for Joel Embiid is to take this offseason and rest up and rest that knee. No, what does he do? He goes to the Olympics and possibly injures that knee even further. Because all of Philadelphia was screaming for Joel Embiid to not go to the Olympics. Don't go to the Olympics, you're probably going to fuck something up. And that's exactly what Joel Embiid did. I understand wanting to play for your country. I understand wanting to go out there and win a gold medal. I understand all that stuff. But when you're putting your own franchise in a hindrance, you're putting yourself on the line, it's going to piss off the Sixers. It's going to piss off Sixers fans. And you completely torched your entire season. And that's going to go to the fact that if Joel Embiid gets this surgery, is he going to be the same player that he once was? Because personally, when you're a big man in the NBA, big men typically do not age well. And especially with all the injuries that Joel Embiid has been through, all the different surgeries, all the different procedures, and if he's possibly getting another procedure done on his leg once again, he's never going to be the same player. He's not going to be MVP level Joel Embiid. Is he going to be passable? Is he going to be like a second option? Is he going to be a third quality option? I have no idea. Is he just going to be a guy that's coming off the bench that's completely overpaid in his contract? I have no idea what that case is going to be. All I know is, and just from my opinion, I don't think Joel Embiid is going to be the same exact player that he once was, because you don't go through this many injuries and still find a way to come out on top and be an MVP top-level performer if you're finding, different surgeries that have never been performed on a big man before, because we have no idea what the ramifications would be from those surgeries because it's never happened before. So, like, they're talking about scooping stuff out of his knee. They're talking about all these different types of knee procedures that have never been done on a big man before. Understandably, people should be pessimistic about that. So I have no idea where this is going to go. And right now, when you're just looking at this Sixers team with Joel Embiid not on the court, like, I feel bad for some of the other guys that go out there and compete hard every single night. I feel bad for Tyrese Maxey, and he's gone through his share of injuries throughout the entire year. Paul George, I don't feel bad for once. It just kind of feels like he's just chasing the bag, and I don't judge that 100%, but he's a complete shell of himself. My God, this man does not care about being here. And he has the balls to talk about, the team competing and all that stuff, where he's barely been on the court this year and barely performing to his capabilities. It's crazy. It is crazy. I wouldn't be shocked if the Sixers find a way to move him in the offseason. I wouldn't be shocked at that in the slightest. But with the way the Sixers team is going right now, where they rank up in the Eastern Conference, because for a little bit, for the past couple of months, yeah, they had some big wins, like on Christmas against the Celtics and all that stuff. They had some big wins a couple of months ago, but it's really just, they're bad. They're bad. And maybe, because the Eastern Conference was so bad, maybe you thought, okay, maybe the Sixers can possibly squeak in to the play-in round. They could probably get into those play-in spots just because that's how bad the Eastern Conference is. No, that is not going to be the case whatsoever. And hopefully they're doing the right thing, and that is prioritizing keeping that first-round pick for this year's draft, because we all know their first-round pick this year is top 6 protected. If they land somehow outside of the top 6, it goes to Oklahoma City. So they better be doing right and finding ways to keep that pick, whether that's just like they're probably doing right now, is putting the worst team possible out there on the court to where they're going to get embarrassed every night, to where it's going to be a complete snooze fest, and they're just ran out of the building every single goddamn night, to where it results in losses, to where they don't get any wins, and they don't lose any standings with that first round draft pick, in the sense of possibly not losing it to the Oklahoma City Thunder. The Sixers are going to be tanking like we haven't seen ever tanked. This is basically, it's going to be comparable to the process type of Sixers. So, Sixers fans, rev up those engines, rev up anything that you got, because we're going tanking, and it's going to be the greatest tank that we've ever tanked. Oh, God, I hate saying that. I really do. Because I wish it didn't come down to all of this, but it's been a long time coming for this team, because they've been trying to Band-Aid and Band-Aid and Band-Aid, and just going through so much change with the roster under Joel Embiid, to where they just haven't been able to get past the second round at all with any type of core surrounding Joel Embiid. And now it's finally come full throttle, and Joel Embiid just can't stand upright. And like I said, if he does get this procedure done on his knee, he's probably not going to be the same player again. And I don't know if there's going to be a team, when Joel Embiid fully recovers from this entire thing, he's probably not going to be the same player, like I said. And I don't know what teams out there are going to value Joel Embiid's contract and, try to take a risk on him possibly being that MVP level player again. I just don't see that possible. Yeah, you could talk about some other players in the NBA, like NBA players always get traded. Yes, that there is 100% truth to that fact. But with Joel Embiid's contract about to start, the contract extension that he just signed, and coming off of this surgery, potential surgery, we still don't know what he's getting yet. Most likely it's going to end up in some type of surgery. I don't know what team would risk trying to trade for him. Would the Sixers even consider trying to trade Joel Embiid? Or are they just going through the rest of the season, going through the motions, basically just tanking the rest of it so they can find a way to keep their first round pick, draft high, hopefully they get some lottery luck in this year's draft, get a first round draft pick, and that's what you add with, the youth with this team, with Tyrese Maxey, with Jared McCain. You pair that first, pick with those two guys, and maybe it takes some pressure off of Joel Embiid, to where he doesn't have to be the first option. Maybe he doesn't even have to be the second option. He could be the third option on the team. I have no idea. But personally, if I'm just going through this entire sequence, I think the best possible thing for the Sixers franchise is to just move away from Joel Embiid. And even if you try to trade him, like I said, I don't know what type of what teams would try to trade for Joel Embiid, but it's not even really just looking for what you get back in return. It's just looking to try to get rid of the contract, get that off of the books, get Joel Embiid's presence out of Philadelphia, start this team from scratch, basically, whether if you want to build it around Tyrese Maxey and Jared McCain and whatever first-round draft pick you get from this year's draft, if you do find a way to keep the draft pick, which they most likely will if they keep on losing, and hopefully they do get some lottery luck in this year's draft, and you build around those three players. But that also comes to the fact that if you're doing that, you probably should, clean face of the front office. Daryl Morey, get his ass out of here, because it's just been failure after failure after failure with Daryl Morey, and he just keeps proving people right that this dude doesn't know what it takes to win in the NBA. Yeah, he's built some great teams in the past with Houston and some of the good Sixers teams that he's, during his time here, but once again, hasn't been able to get over the hump, and that is also a fault of Daryl Morey. So, and there's been a bunch of other rumors about, the old president, and GM of the Golden State Warriors that built that dynasty. There's some connections with the Sixers and possibly those type of situations. So I would love to bring the guy that built the Golden State Warriors dynasty. I think that guy would do wonders here over a Daryl Morey. Personally, I think that could be the case. That would definitely be lovely, because that guy definitely sounds like he knows how to build teams, over a guy that says, if you squint hard enough, this team is a championship caliber team. Get the fuck out of here. My God, he is so clueless. I don't understand how he wasn't fired on the spot there. Joshua Harris. Even though Joshua Harris probably doesn't care because he cares about the Washington Commanders right now. Seriously, if any other owner that was really involved with the Sixers, and Joshua Harris is involved with the Sixers, that it's being overreactive there. But Daryl Morey should have been fired on the spot when he said that. Seriously, if you squint hard enough, this team can compete for a championship. That is so laughable. That is so bad. I don't even know what to say right now. So if we're looking at the standings currently, where the Sixers lie, there's a lot of bad teams in the NBA. A lot of bad teams this year. And the Sixers, they're definitely one of them. So the worst team in the NBA is the Washington Wizards. They're 10-47. The Utah Jazz, they're 14-43. Same thing with the New Orleans Pelicans. The Charlotte Hornets, they're 14-42. The Toronto Raptors, they're 18-39. And there are the 76ers at 20-37. They are the sixth worst team in the NBA right now. And the teams that are ahead of them are the Brooklyn Nets, the Chicago Bulls, Portland Trailblazers, and then so on and so forth. So far, the Sixers are the sixth worst team in the NBA, and if they stay there and they get some good lottery luck, they will be keeping that first-round draft pick. But if they don't get lottery luck and some team jumps them and they fall behind the sixth overall pick, oh yeah, that'll be a pick that goes to the Oklahoma City Thunder, where the Oklahoma City Thunder, they're the second best team in the NBA. They're 46-11. So yeah, definitely don't want that to be the case. I would love for the Sixers to end up getting some lottery luck and ending with the first overall pick, because you got to think, over the Sixers' time of them getting high draft picks, how many of those high draft picks have turned into goddamn busts? My goodness. Markelle Fultz, Ben Simmons, I'm trying to think of all the other picks that they've had in the top. Nerlens Noel. I'm trying to think of who else. There's been so many picks that they've had over the times of, the Sam Hickey process era and all that crap, who they were drafting high overall. It just wasn't good. Really, Joel Embiid was the standout from there, and then some of the other draft picks that stood out are guys like Tyrese Maxey, obviously, and Jared McCain recently. And those guys were later on in the first round. So yes, it is possible to find some guys later in the first round, but if you want to try to get a guaranteed good player in the draft, hopefully, because yes, no draft pick is guaranteed at the end of the day, you would try to get some lottery luck in there and put yourself in a position to where you can get that lottery luck. So I don't know what would happen there. I don't know. But there is a quote in a segment from a Marcus Hayes article from the Philadelphia Inquirer that I do want to bring up, talking about, the possible situation that Joel Embiid can go under, what type of surgery he can possibly go over. And yes, this is Marcus Hayes, so take it with a grain of salt, but NBA Central put it out there on Twitter, and this is the passage that they brought up for the possible procedure that Joel Embiid can go through. So Joel Embiid could undergo a meniscus replacement procedure, or a procedure where doctors break a bone in the hip to realign the joints and alleviate pressure, per the Philadelphia Inquirer. The same Sixer who made the orbital bone fracture and the navicular bone fracture common phrases in Philadelphia sports lexicon, he's had 2 of each, might soon add one of these meniscus replacements, low-dose radiation therapy, or even the ominous-sounding I don't even know how to pronounce that one, in which doctors break a bone in the hip to realign the joint to alleviate pressure. One source called the procedure radical in the light of mundane injury and surgery that brought Joel Embiid to this point. For some reason, what should have been a routine rehab and a routine return to play has gone horribly wrong. You're talking about replacing the hip, removing part of the hip and putting it, to alleviate pressure in his knee. Yeah, if that's the case where Joel Embiid has to go, Joel Embiid is never going to be the same player again. That is just a fact. When you hear that passage, when you hear what type of procedure they probably have to do just to alleviate pressure in his knee, he's not going to be the same player. If that's the case, oh boy. It is going to get very bad for the Sixers as the months go along until we confirm what type of procedure Joel Embiid has to go through. My God, it's going to be horrible. Horrible. This is not going to end well. It's not. And just imagine if Joel Embiid's not going to be the same player on the court. Just imagine when he gets older, this dude's not going to be able to walk. And I feel bad for the guy because he's gone through so much. From the beginning of his career, throughout his entire NBA journey, he has gone through so much. And it's just another peg in the career of Joel Embiid. My God, it's unreal of what he possibly would have to go through. It's insane. It really is. And that's where I lie with the Sixers team. It's just, when you look at the way they played last night, they got absolutely destroyed. They lost 142 to 110. I believe the Bulls, they almost had around, they had 70 plus points at halftime. It was almost 100 points. Basically, it was 100 points at the end of the third quarter. They were just that bad. My God, it's unreal. And just looking at their upcoming schedule, just to see some of the teams that they're playing against going towards the end of the year. Oh joy, they play the New York Knicks next on Wednesday. They play Golden State, they play Portland, they play Minnesota, they play Boston. Oh God, they're going to be getting crushed in some of these games. My goodness. My God. It's going to be a very ugly ride towards the end of the year. Will the Sixers even win another game? That could be the case. The Sixers might not win another game the rest of the year. They might not. What's their current losing streak at right now? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. They got an 8-game losing streak. Yeah, I don't see them winning in the foreseeable future, especially against some of the opponents that they got upcoming in the schedule. I don't see that at all. Yeah, it's going to be it's going to be the tank of all tanks. That's what it's going to be. Man, where have we gone? Where have we come to with the Sixers team? It's unreal. It really is. So, before we end up this video, let's get to the Anytime Hotline. We got a call from Sean here. Let's see what Sean has to say about this dreadful, dreadful Sixers team. My God, in this Joel Embiid situation.
As far as Joel Embiid goes, I think it's safe to say that the sand has basically run out of the timer in terms of his career. I mean, I talked to another content creator years ago, and I remember telling him that this guy's going to have a short shelf life. The scary part to me with Embiid is he's never been healthy. I mean, imagine what he could have done in his career if he had the ability to run the floor freely, jump freely. Maybe he could have been a modern-day Wilt Chamberlain, 50 points, 50 rebounds, that kind of thing. We'll just never know. But I'm pretty confident in this. He is now what Charles Barkley was at the end of his Sixer career. a great player who's never going to win anything in Philadelphia. If he wants to continue his NBA career and win something, it's going to have to be somewhere else. The Sixers, in my opinion, have to turn the page, start building around Maxey as the lead guy, build up the supporting cast around him. You might as well start playing your youth now, see what you got. The tank should be in full effect, and just start over, cut ties with Embiid and Paul George.
I agree. I 100% agree with that. I just don't know if you do try to trade Joel Embiid, what team would try to take on his contract. Can Joel Embiid be a good, third option? Because he's never going to be a number one option anymore, especially after this entire situation is done. I think that's completely obvious. He might not even be a second option. It might be even doubtful for him to be a third option on a team. I just don't know what team would try to take that on. Maybe he would be a good bench player to where he could play limited minutes. I don't know what possibly he could be. And I don't know what type of team would take that on. Maybe if it's just a fully stacked team and they just okay, we can just add the extra depth and we could take on the contract. And it also comes to the fact that if you're the Sixers, you're not looking for anything major in return. You would just be looking to get rid of the contract. That's what it would be. And yeah, this entire era of Joel Embiid, it's done. It's kaput. You're not winning anything in Philadelphia with Joel Embiid, and I hate to say that, but it's true. You got to move on. And whether that's building around Maxey and McCain and whatever pick you get in this draft with the first rounder, hopefully you do get some lottery luck and you land in the top 3 of the draft. But I don't know. I don't know. But yep, the tanks are in full effect. They definitely are. I do not see this team winning a game for a very long time. For a very long time for the rest of the year. I just don't see it happening. So we'll see. We'll see what happens with the Sixers team. So appreciate you guys for tuning in today. For a Phillies pod, that'll come later in the week. I'm thinking around Thursday or something like that for a Phillies pod. So you'll see something pop up in your subscription feed. So definitely don't forget to check it out when the time comes for that. But I do appreciate you guys joining as always. So don't forget to leave a comment in the comment section down below. Do not forget to drop a like. Do not forget to hit that subscribe button. Does me a great deal of service. And also use the code TTPSports. $20 off your first purchase at SeatGeek. Great deal. Do not pass it up. And also follow at TTP Sports on TikTok and Instagram for reels and shorts and all that good stuff. So appreciate you guys for tuning in, and I will see you next time.